Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Oyster Bay East Norwich Board of Education meeting. Can we all please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would now like to turn it over to Dr. Yanni for our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Giovanni, and good evening, everybody. Every month, I report to you how wonderful our students are. In the last, I want to say 2-3 weeks, we put the final touches on the broadcasting studio that we've been working. Thank you to your support. So tonight, I decided to do something a little bit different, so hopefully the board will approve this. I decided that why not have the Bay News now to do part of my superintendent's report, so you see how great our students are and the wonderful job that they do. So, Mr. Dolan, do you think we can get this going? All right. Gonna get fired over here.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Thanks, Doc.
No pressure.
Yanni, we will take it from here. Here's your superintendent's report. We hope this past weekend you had the opportunity to attend our incredible musical Chicago. Honestly, why go to Broadway? It was so impressive, from the lights, the set, to the costumes. Everything was just spectacular. Dr. Yanni wants to take this opportunity to congratulate all the students, staff, and administrators that participated in the musical. It was great. So big thank you to Ms. Giapardi, Mr. Sissia, and our supervisor of Fine and Performing Arts, Ms. Erica Gigliopac. We are very excited to share the results of the Advanced Placement Art exhibit. Go Ape hosted the Art League of Long Island. This year, they saw participation from 38 high schools, showcasing the talents of 103 students from across Long Island. The jury faced a challenging task in selecting the award winners, but after much deliberation, Ava DeAngelis was honored as one of the 8 recipients of our Award of Excellence. Her remarkable oil painting titled Vows captivated the judges and stands as a testament to her artistic talents. We are so happy to announce that Christopher Sarduno has been honored with the prestigious News 12 Scholar Athlete Award. Christopher will be showcased on both News 12 and News12.com and will be granted an $1,000 scholarship in recognition of his outstanding academic and athletic accomplishments. And now let's go to Grace Curry, who joined us in our studio right now for the rest of the superintendent's report.
Thanks, Maddie. On March 5th, middle-level research students competed in the Middle School Long Island Science and Engineering Fair at Crest Hollow Country Club. 8th graders Maddie Matthews and Eva Juretsko earned 2nd place in the behavioral science category for their project. How do racially specific facial features affect implicit bias? We are so proud of our future scientists. From Thursday, February 29th to Saturday, March 2nd, 61 students participated in the 10th grade college trip to the Mid-Atlantic, Washington, D.C. area, exploring campuses in Delaware, Washington, D.C., and Maryland, visiting institutions such as the University of Delaware, University of Maryland, Johns Hopkins University, American University, and George Washington University. Students gained insight into various academic campuses environments, from large to small, urban to suburban. Feedback from the students was overwhelmingly positive. All of them said learning something new about academic campus life, with most finding the trip instrumental in shaping their college preferences and understanding admissions requirements. Over 3/4 noted the enlightening difference between campuses academically and residentially, with one student expressing newfound confidence in pursuing college. The camaraderie among classmates and the exposure to diverse campuses in a short time frame were the highlight of the trip. Scan the QR code on your screen to see video highlights. On Monday, March 4th, 4 seniors and 5 juniors gathered in the collab to compete in teams in the MathWorks Math Modeling Challenge, also known as the M3 Challenge. M3 Challenge spotlights applied mathematics as a powerful problem-solving tool, a vital and exciting profession, and a vital contributor to the advances in increasingly technological society. Our students were posed with an open-ended, timely problem entitled A Tale of Two Crises, a housing shortage and homelessness. At the start of the competition, and were given 14 consecutive hours to submit a solution. The challenge requires that students use math modeling to represent, analyze, make predictions, and provide insight into current world issues. Teams determined to have the best solution received special recognition in the form of tuition scholarships for their college and education. That was your superintendent's report. I hope this was okay, Dr. Yanni, and that we made you proud.
That was exciting.
Thanks, Dr. Yanni. We will take it from here. Here's your superintendent's report.
You make me proud every single day that I walk this halls. So thank you. That was wonderful. In order to promote the wonderful school that we have, for the past couple of weeks, I've been trying to get in touch with somebody that will put a spotlight on our school. And I was very fortunate to get in contact with CPS host of Class Act, Chris Raggy. Chris and the entire team will do a show on March 22nd from the high school. It will be live from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. The show will put a spotlight on our school. Will be for the entire 2 hours. Will be about Oyster Bay High School. Today we were able to have students and teachers and advisors and coaches talk to Chris. It was very, very exciting. So I hope that you will tune in March 22nd at 5 a.m. I know that our principal, Ms. Argument, is doing a great job promoting the event. It would be wonderful because this will be broadcast to the entire tri-state area, and it will be an opportunity for our students to be recognized and the great work that they do. So hopefully you will be online and you will see it, and it will be a great thing. So at this point, Oyster Bay has an incredible language program, and we have very, very talented students. So at this point, it gives me great pleasure to bring to the podium our assistant principal from Vernon, Ms. Anastasia Smith, to introduce some of our stars. Ms. Smith.
Hello. Sorry. Thank you. So this year, we are fortunate to have Miss April Song, who teaches our 6th grade students Mandarin. Not only does she teach them about the Mandarin language, but she also introduces many aspects of Chinese culture that are unique and enriching. Her current class was entered into the 2024 National Chinese Talent Contest, sponsored by the Chinese Language Association of Secondary and Elementary Schools. I'm proud to say that out of many, many entries, our students placed first in the elementary and secondary category. The CLA, which consists of about 1,400 members, judged the competition and rated the entries based on Chinese content, culture, accuracy, fluency, delivery, expressions, clothing, and manners. Many categories. Something important to note, these students were only 1 month into their 3-month Mandarin course. So not only were they able to learn a new language, but to learn how to sing and embody Chinese culture as well. So I would like to call up the students to sing their rendition of We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Again, this was filmed prior to this month. So I would like to call them up and congratulate to all the students and Miss Song for such an amazing accomplishment and such a great recognition for our school and program. So when I call you guys up, you can come to the the risers over there, Amelia Criscuola, Christopher Ferrara, Gracie Joannan, Alex Corrales, Liliana McAvoy, Shay O'Brien, Claire Windhausen, Layla Zahirovic, Giselle Zavala, Lauren Tiberio, Emma Capace, and Alex Udoy is not here tonight, but he was also a member of the ensemble, and Miss Song.
James Vernon, 6年级的水山. We are the 6th grade students of the James Vernon School.
我们去学中文有3个月了. Oh, we have been learning Chinese for 3 months.
新的一年，我们祝你 This year we wish you
健健康康, good health.
天天开心,
Happiness every day.
越来越好, success and continuous improvement.
我爱中文.
we love Chinese.
We will be singing We Wish You a Merry Christmas in Chinese. We hope you like our performance.
Miss Song, next year before the December break, we'll invite you back so we can restart the whole December break again. How's that? That was terrific. Great job. Tonight, we also have several presentations to update the community and the Board of Education on our departments. And at this point, it gives me great pleasure to invite to the podium Ms. Pimentel to do a mathematics presentation and to recognize some of our mathematicians tonight. Ms. Pimentel, thank you.
Good evening. I would like to begin by extending a special thank you to the Board of Education and Dr. Yanni for their continued support for our math program throughout the district. I am proud to stand here tonight to share the progress and initiatives within the math department. We will begin with highlights We will begin with highlights from our elementary schools, our high school, and conclude with recognition of accomplishments of our students. At both Theodore Roosevelt and James H. Vernon schools, teachers are building a strong foundation in mathematics, setting the stage for academic excellence. Both buildings are filled with vibrant learning environments, igniting our students' curiosity and passion for mathematics. In October, we held our 7th annual Kindergarten Math Night. The evening proved to be an engaging event that allowed our youngest learners and their families to come together to foster a love and appreciation for mathematics. Students and families rotated through stations where they engaged in fun activities such as Yahtzee, Coverall Smash, Lego Towers, and Race to Fill the Cup. One of our stations also allowed students to connect art and geometry in an engaging way. Each station was designed to enhance our students' number sense, which is an instructional focus for kindergarten. It was a true night of collaboration and learning that empowered families, teachers, staff, and students. In February, James H. Vernon School hosted its 12th annual Multiplication Bowl for third graders. One of the 4 instructional focuses for third grade is for students to develop an understanding of multiplication of whole numbers, and events such as these help our students to become excited and engaged in their learning. Over the past several months, students dedicated themselves to mastering multiplication facts in preparation for this eagerly anticipated competition. On game day, our third grade classes went head-to-head to determine the multiplication champions. This year's champions were Mrs. Friedman and Mrs. Spalatis' third grade class. And I'd like to congratulate all of our third grade students and teachers for their effort and perseverance in becoming multiplication masters. In our elementary schools, there is an emphasis on academic vocabulary within our math curriculum. Developing a strong mathematical vocabulary enhances students' comprehension and problem-solving skills. In addition, teachers prioritize hands-on learning to engage our students and make abstract mathematical concepts more tangible and accessible. This year, we have also implemented an Empower period for all elementary classes. Students now have a dedicated time in their day where teachers provide a system of support that includes both intervention and enrichment for all students. Teachers regularly review data from various sources, such as cumulative exams, iReady diagnostics, and state assessments to make informed instructional decisions that support student learning and achievement. There are also so many wonderful things happening in the math department at the high school. Students are engaging in collaborative projects, interactive lessons, and competitions, while also participating in enriching experiences outside of the classroom. In one of our newly renovated spaces at the high school, the Innovation Lab, our geometry and English teachers collaborated to introduce new vocabulary in an engaging and effective way. Teachers designed a lesson utilizing the Freyer model, which is a graphic organizer designed for word analysis and vocabulary building. Students were able to experience a math lesson taught through the lens of an English teacher, and they were very surprised when they walked into the Innovation Lab and Mr. Donahue, their English teacher, was there. This interdisciplinary approach fostered deeper connections between geometry and English, enriching our students' experiences. With the completion of the co-lab on the second floor of the high school, the math department has been inspired to create more opportunities for students to collaborate with one another. One example was when our Algebra 2 classes learned about operations with complex numbers through a scavenger hunt, taking an ordinary lesson and making it more engaging for our students. In addition, students from various geometry classes came together to explore angles through a card sort activity. They also worked together to build their academic vocabulary. Another collaboration that took place when the Nassau County Association of Mathematics Supervisors underwent a rebranding. To commemorate becoming the Association of Mathematics Supervisors of Long Island, they organized a competition inviting students to craft a new logo. This provided us with a great opportunity to merge our pre-calculus students' knowledge of functions with the artistic skills of our graphic design students. We were so proud of the students' effort and creativity. And as Dr. Yanni mentioned in his update, I'll share a little bit more. One of the most rigorous collaborations thus far happened just last week. 2 teams of juniors and seniors competed in the M3 Challenge, which is an intensive math modeling contest designed to motivate students to study and pursue careers in applied mathematics, computational science, data science, and technical computing. Our teams were challenged to use mathematical skills, research, and brainstorming to evaluate data, develop models, and propose answers. The proposed questions were about the future of housing availability and costs and the growing number of unhoused people. Once our students downloaded the problem, they were given 14 consecutive hours to submit a solution. And I will tell you, our junior team persevered to the very end. I'm so proud of their teamwork, critical thinking, and determination, and also the cooler that they packed throughout the competition. This winter, students in our Math and Science Honor Societies joined up to visit the National Museum of Mathematics. Students were able to pre-select workshops they were interested in attending. As a group, they delved into the mysteries of cryptography, immersed themselves in hands-on math exhibits, and tackled brain-teasing puzzles at the Enigma Cafe. I would also like to share that students in our Math Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, will be going into our 7th grade math classes to facilitate an activity on Pi Day. They are also working to create Regents Review tutorials for students in our Algebra, Geometry, and Algebra 2 courses. I'm also proud to stand here tonight to present awards to our students for their participation and achievement on the Mathematical Association of America's American Mathematics Competition 10 and 12. The AMCs are a series of examinations that not only build problem-solving skills, but also foster a love of mathematics through friendly competition. The competitions also cultivate the standards for mathematical practice we seek to develop in our students, such as perseverance in problem solving, reasoning abstractly, and attending to precision. During the fall semester, students in grades 9 through 12 were among 300,000 students that participated in the AMC 1012, and I would like to congratulate all of our students for their efforts. 8 of our students emerged as the top scorers at OBHS. So, when I call your name, can you please join us on the stage? Students that placed in the top 3 scores for the AMC 10 are Julia DeAngelis, Danny Yanis Mejia. He was not able to be here with us tonight. Max Maradi, students that placed in the top 3 scores for the AMC 12 are Rose Lindstrom, Joseph Sapienza, and Omek Kumar. Omek was not able to be here with us tonight. The winner and student with the highest score on the AMC 10 is Will Kelly. And the winner and student with the highest score on the AMC 12 is Jonathan Zakarian. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Pimentel. At this point, I'd like to invite to the podium Mr. Dan Moy for the science presentation.
Good evening. Thank you. So I want to start and thank you to the Board of Education and Dr. Yanni for your continued support of the OBEN Science Department. Tonight, I'm going to focus on our meeting of board and education goals highlighted in areas at the elementary level, in the high school level, and in academic competitions. Understanding the natural world and understanding scientific practices starts from a young age. We take pride in the strong science curriculum we offer to our young learners here in Oyster Bay to empower all students to achieve excellence. From the beginning of their education in science, elementary students engage with phenomena by making observations and participating in scientific argumentation. At Roosevelt and Vernon, they work cooperatively in laboratory groups to ask questions and work as a team to find solutions or answers. From the earliest moments in science, students are encouraged to support their claims or how they're thinking about a problem with evidence from their work. Enrichment experiences like the one shown here, the For the Birds program through Theodore Roosevelt Sanctuary and Audubon Center, deepens learning and provides real-world connections to the state standards. We actually have another program from Theodore Roosevelt Sanctuary and Audubon Center coming in next week to Vernon. Students are going to be going on a field excursion looking for birds on the fields. Scientific argumentation is a powerful educational tool that can enhance academic achievement and foster a positive school culture. It promotes critical thinking, application of knowledge, communication skills, and allows for teachers to assess student learning. It fosters collaboration, empowers students to join and hold evidence-based discussions. So what you can see here in our lab at Vernon and at Teddy Roosevelt, Ms. Gentile and Ms. Diorio's class in the lab space. Students come in, they enter, there's an energy that comes along when they get to these spaces. And a lot of times they can't wait to get there. And I know when I've been there, they don't really want to leave. They want to stay and continue doing science. Second grade science night in February was an evening full of engaging activities for students and families. Students and their adult guests were able to collaborate on engineering challenges, make sense of phenomena, and take on the role of student scientists. These enriching activities allow us to connect with families and showcase the great work that students do daily in the classroom. Everything from developing a zipline carrier for little teddy bears to mixing chemicals together to make a bubbling blob. Vernon STEM Night in December saw students and their families rotate between an engineering challenge, so building the tallest tower out of recycled materials that also had to hold a mass at the top, a science show, and engage in various computer science activities such as augmented reality and programming. So it was really interesting to see students color in different pictures. At the time it was around the holidays, so students were coloring penguins, and then through augmented reality, actually watching that figure come to life on the page and skate around on an ice rink. Students and parents had to collaborate and work together to achieve success in these challenges, and this is just another opportunity for the learning that takes place daily to come to life for families in the community. At the high school, we build upon our foundation set in the elementary and expand it for students to experience science in a multitude of opportunities. As students progress to higher grade levels, the focus on teamwork and the pursuit of academic excellence continues. They consistently engage in peer feedback and assessment, offer improvements to each other's work, like seen here with their atomic models. They actually scored each other on a rubric and gave critical feedback on how to improve the model, and collectively make sense of the curriculum. This academic year, we've worked to introduce the Word of the Week throughout the building at the high school and encouraged accountable talk and discussions in science class. Not only does this deepen the learning, but it furthers students' command of science content when they really have to talk and build upon the conversation. Every opportunity where students can engage in scientific debate offers a chance for them to go deeper and focus on underlying reasons and concepts leading to improved academic ability. Students in AP Biology and Introductory Biology are enriching their educational journey with positive and innovative activities. So, seen here in the middle picture, students engaged in speed dating exercise as different cell organelles. So they drew parallels between their functions and everyday life through analogies, and they literally had to match with other organelles in the class to see if the cell would survive, if those cell processes would carry on. This creative approach of using models and collaboration to understand and internalize scientific content is some of the exciting strategies our teachers use to facilitate and enhance student learning. Collaboration among our older students with our younger fosters community and peer feedback skills. So our Science Honors Society students, who are 11th and 12th graders currently at the high school, they actually were the judges for our 7th grade science fair. So not only did they score them on a rubric, but they also gave them some feedback in terms of, speak a little bit more confidently, or I liked how you, took this amount of data. It's that good community feel here that we have in Oyster Bay. Field trips, like the one here to the Waterfront Center, so just down the road, is just one of the many ways we are enriching students and expanding their academic careers. By exposing them to various career paths and facilitating interactions with experts to learn about their real-world experiences, we're supporting the pursuit of higher education at four-year institutions. Through those field trips and what I like to call guest speakers, even though they weren't necessarily in the building, we enhance students' days. Our Skype a Scientist in the CoLab, so one of our new spaces, was a success talking to a researcher, currently at NYU Langone in Manhattan. Students got to see the work that this person was actively, working on currently, and got to ask career advice on how do I get into research, or I'm interested in research. How did you get to your postdoc setting? Coming up next week is our Engineers Breakfast, where students network and work through challenges with local Long Island engineers in various fields. So the Oyster Bay Science Research Pathway and Program prepares students to compete in regional fairs. We heard on Dr. Yanni's superintendent's report, Maddie Matthews and Effa Juresko winning second place at middle school LISEF for behavioral science this last week. Congratulations again to Maddie and to Eva. We're providing those skills and the support necessary to compete at those higher levels. The newly finished Innovation Lab provides ample space for team members in robotics to collaborate, brainstorm, and practice using their robots. This is the kind of environment that I know was designed in mind and fosters that teamwork and the exchange of ideas that are crucial for successful innovation in robotics. It was really fun, engaging. It was nice to see the students actually moving the furniture around to suit their needs, to set up their game field, and to actually, talk strategy and put strategy up on the whiteboard to talk through their presentation. And what it led to, both the high school and middle school Baybots used that for pre-game practice. We actually held a half in-school field trip, after-school field trip, so that they could practice before their competitions, and that supported the high school Baybots sailing to second place in their regional qualifier, and the middle school to improve their ranking to 11th place. That's all we have for science. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you. So for the students, if you have homework to do, this would be a good time to go. Ms. Raynor, not because you're boring, just because the homework is more important.
Right.
So this would be a good time. You did a great job, but you're welcome to stay. At this point, I'd like to thank Ms. Raynor for all the work together with the entire business department in preparation for this budget and the long nights that she puts in together with the entire team. So, Ms. Raynor.
Thank you so much, and I certainly won't take offense. I know that this is more directed at parents and community members than students. Students come in every day and have the excitement for what they have. So I am definitely pleased to present to the staff, the community, the parents that are still here, the third budget presentation this evening. Tonight's presentation will do a quick review of the vision, mission, and focus, as well as going further into depth into the preparation, the structure, and an overview of the revenue budget for where we are now. The vision remains to empower all students to achieve excellence, which is maintained as we continue to develop this budget. The focus, the mission is to provide a high-quality academic, athletic, arts programs, investing in our facilities improvements while remaining fiscally responsible to our community members. As our work continues on the budget, we remain focused on staying within the allowable tax levy cap, strategically align resources to provide our students with the best possible educational opportunities, to continue to maintain and improve our buildings and ground facilities, and again, while remaining fiscally responsible to strengthen our long-term financial condition. As we continue with our budget preparation, this year has been extremely challenging in preparing the budget. Due to several factors, specifically, we have seen increases in expenditures due to CPI at 6.26%, an allowable tax levy growth factor capped at 2%, at the same time as a decrease in revenue due to the New York State Governor's proposed reduction in state aid. For the 24-25 budget, the rate of inflation, which is commonly referred to as CPI, is the 6.2%, which I just said, all the way to the right of this graph. This requires careful attention again this year due to the fact that we are facing high inflation for the third consecutive year, as you can see here from the comptroller's chart. Therefore, since the CPI is over 2%, our allowable tax levy growth factor is capped at that 2%, which is that orange dotted line you see across the bottom. This is important because the allowable tax levy growth factor is a key component in the property tax cap calculation. Using this tax cap formula established by the New York State Office of Comptroller, the allowable tax levy is calculated to determine the amount of revenue the district is able to propose. The product of the formula is the allowable tax levy. The formula uses the prior year's tax levy, the property base growth factor, pilots, certain exclusions including capital expenditures, and allowable growth factor, which I just discussed. That's how you determine the allowable tax levy limit. For the 2024-25 school year, the result of this is the allowable tax levy limit of 2.41%. We continue to remain cautious to stay within this cap while recognizing and adjusting for the high inflation rates we are all experiencing. As discussed in last budget presentation, or as you may have heard or seen in the media recently, the New York State Governor released her budget proposal in January, which includes the state aid runs for all New York school districts. The changes the governor is proposing will result in significant decrease in revenue for our district, which is occurring at the same time we are facing this third year of expense increases. The governor's proposal includes the elimination of the Save Harmless provision, which has been in place for decades to ensure that districts continue to receive as much operational aid or foundation aid as received in the previous year. Now, the governor has proposed to return districts to receive half the difference of our current aid and the amount of aid as the foundation aid formula. However, this is extremely important to understand that this foundation aid formula was developed almost 20 years ago in 2007, prior to the tax cap. It includes benchmarks from a quarter century ago, despite the dramatic changes in schools over the past few decades. The foundation formula includes statistics from the 2000 census. Special education funds are based on data from the 1990s. Additionally, the current foundation aid formula does not take into account for the spike in mental health services and other needs for our students that have been intensified by the recent pandemic. Based on the state aid run in January 2024, it is clear our district is penalized with respect to foundation aid. Specifically, we have lost $533,000, equivalent to 27.82% decrease with respect to this foundation aid, which I will speak more to as we get into the revenue budget. The structure of the budget is important, and simply put, as we develop the budget, the revenue side of the budget must equal the expense side of the budget. However, due to factors that we just discussed, we have a decrease in revenue from state aid, a cap on the amount of taxes we are able to propose, all while seeing drastic increases in expenses due to CPI and other insurance premiums. Tonight, we will look in depth on the left side of that chart I just showed you on the revenue budget. The revenue budget is comprised of these four major categories, first being the tax levy, state aid, other revenues, which includes things like the lease of facilities and interest income, and the fourth being the reserved and fund balances. The tax levy for the 24-25 year is proposed at $58,195,044. This is within the allowable tax levy limit and is an approximate increase of 1.3 from the prior year. For state aid, the proposed change of the governor represents a one-year drop in our foundation aid from $1.9 million to approximately $1.4 million, which is approximately $500,000 less, or like I said, approximately 28% less. Combining that with our expense-driven aid, our overall aid is about $600,000 less than the current year we're in right now. Finally, another major revenue source for our district is our reserve and fund balance appropriations. This chart outlines all of our reserve funds and their allowable uses. And although I will say letter just as a quick note, I don't understand it's hard to see in this presentation right now, but this is all on our budget website for anybody who wants to go back and read more of this in depth. As per the district financials, here you will see the end year balances for each of our restricted reserves. Each year, these are reviewed by the district, by the Board of Education, to determine the best use of these funds to support the budget to remain fiscally responsible by strengthening our long-term financial condition. This is the proposed revenue budget for 24-25 of $65,603,880. This is comprised of the state aid that we just discussed, about $2.9 million, $1 million in appropriated reserves, specifically our retirement reserves, $1.5 million from fund balance, which is the same as last year, you see, approximately $2 million in other revenue, and a tax levy of $58,195.44, which again is within the allowable tax levy limit. From this information, we are able to propose the overall budget. The number of dollars representing this 24-25 budget is $65,603,880. This is approximately $1.2 million increase from the current year we're in now. In summary, this revenue budget is broken into the three main categories, where the tax levy is 80.7% of the tax levy as the revenue budget, 6.9% of other revenue, and 4.4% of our state aid. As we stated earlier, we are committed to the focus of staying within the allowable tax levy cap, strategically realigning resources to provide students with the best educational opportunities. And again, as I'd like to remind everybody, this not only is posted on our agenda, but it's also on the budget website under the finance page. The budget timeline on the next budget meeting is the 26th. Adoption is April 16th. A budget hearing May 7th, concluding with the vote on May 21st. This timeline on the website outlines the categories for each of the budget presentations. So tonight was the revenue budget. Next meeting on March 26th, we will be looking at the expenditure side of the budget. And again, this timeline is posted on the website. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Raynor. Before the board has any, I'm not sure if there's any question, but I would like to add one of the critical fact is that at this point, the budget that we have and the resource that we have and what we received from the state and didn't receive from the state, at this point, the budget that we have maintains all the programs that we have in place this year. So at this point, I just want to say to our staff that have been very supportive, administrators, our teachers, supporting staff, everybody. They've been very patient and very supportive, but there is a lot of anxiety out there knowing that other districts are cutting people. And we are right now looking at a budget that is maintaining the programs that we have. And the way we are doing what we're doing is by reallocating resources. So whenever possible, whenever we have a program that is not in existence, or whatever work we can do with the resource that we have, we are doing it. But as of right now, we're maintaining the staff that we have, we're maintaining the class size that we have, we're maintaining the administrators that we have, and we're not, as of right now, unless something will drastically change, we are maintaining all the programs for all of our students.
Thank you, Dr. Yanni. Any trustees have any questions for Ms. Raynor regarding the budget presentation? No? Thank you, Ms. Rayner. We'll now move on to the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes as listed and attached below?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the opportunity for the public to be heard on agenda items. In accordance with the open meetings law, the school board meetings where the school district business will be discussed are open to the public. The Oyster Bay East Norwich Board of Education welcomes public comment at its meetings. The Board of Education will respond to comments and/or inquiries in the appropriate manner. This portion of the meeting is designed exclusively for agenda items. A sign-in book is provided for those residents wishing to address the board. In addition to being recognized, you must sign in. Each speaker will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes. The board president will call you to the microphone in the order in which you have signed in. Public discussion is prohibited regarding matters relating to an individual's reputation, privacy, or right to due process, which in some way could be violated. A second commentary period is provided for non-agenda items prior to adjournment. Thank you for your participation and cooperation. And I believe we've had one person sign in, Ms. Grace Serby.
Thank you and good evening.
Hello.
Yes, thank you. I'm Grace Serby, been a resident here for 57 years. My 2 daughters attended the school, and I was also a school board member. And I've been pleading with the school board members to sharpen their pencils. Has the board been privy to this presentation prior to this evening? Have you seen everything? Well, thank you, Mr. Rayner, for printing out the information for me. Out of the 30 pages, I only have 5 pages in question. From what I can see, you're estimated the fund balance for June 30th. It looks like 1.5 million. Am I correct in that when I'm reading it correctly?
That's correct.
Okay. So in the event, or we know right now, we're being cheated by 500,000. If you deduct the 500 from 1.5 million, we still have $1 million surplus to work with. So that's why I get very concerned when year after year, even when we have school aid, state aid, you keep increasing the budget. By last year was 2 million, now you're talking 1.5 million. I believe, and I know the district is doing very well. I compliment all the staff for the quality education we have, but we do have to keep expenses in line. Now, you just said, Dr. Yanni, that you were reallocating. Have you excessed or any staff at all? To me, that's how you reallocate or save money, as you would do in your own home. If you can't afford something, you cut something out. So that's my one suggestion there. You listed the reserve funds. I don't see the unassigned appropriation reserve fund on the unassigned, on the reserve funds. You have the employees, retirement, teachers, which you just saw, but you seem to be missing the assigned appropriation fund and also the unassigned fund, which last year for the assigned appropriation, we had 1.5 million, and the unassigned, we had 2.5 million. So we still have all this money in reserve funds. I think we're allowed to keep 4% of the budget. But what are your plans when we have these reserves? Why aren't we using it to reduce, or rather, not increase the budget? So on your overview, the review of the revenue budget, that's where I see reserves 1 million, and then down below fund balance 1.5 million. So I assume that's the balance that you're estimating to end this June 30th, 1.5 million. Am I correct in reading it that way? I believe, Dr. Annie, you said yes. Okay. So again, my question is, we are constantly either overestimating expenses, and luckily we don't spend it all. So we are running an over budget of 1.5 million. Why can't we use that more instead of increasing the budget again this year by another 1.2 million? And what happens if we get state aid? There's some rumors going around. Am I just the only one that? Are you aware of that? That they're mentioning that maybe schools that are being reduced, that it may come back again. If it comes back in time for this budget, I don't know. But that's just food for thought. But again, please, it's just getting out of line. We cannot keep increasing the budget year after year by $1 million, $2 million. Something has to give. I think that's all. You're saying that the levy would be 2.41. The tax cap is 2%. On my tax bill last year, it was 2.76. They show the percentage increase from last year. So why is it 2.76 when we capped at 2% and the levy at 2.4? Can you explain that? Why my
I'm going to let you,
my school
permission
tax?
of the
I
board,
have
I'm
a
going to let
copy
you
here.
finish all the questions and then I'm going to attempt to answer.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to let you finish all your
Okay,
questions
I
and
think
then I'm
that's
going to
it.
attempt to answer.
No, on my school tax, it says here, percentage change from last year, 2.76. So I thought our tax cap was 2%. Why my tax, on my school tax bill, 2.76? I believe that's about it. I don't want to take any more time. And just one other sheet. I think that's it. So again, if you could sharpen the pencils and not increase it another over $1 million. We have the reserve funds, use that, even though we lost the state aid of $500,000. I said if you subtract it from 1.5 million, we still have $1 million balance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Just gonna answer some of your questions. The first is the excess of teachers. At this point, the board, myself, my entire team, we are committed to provide the students with quality education. And at this point, we are not planning to excess any teachers. But what we are doing, every time there is a retirement, we are looking at the class size, and if we are within the limits, we're going to continue to make adjustments. When I referred in my previous statement, when I referred to reallocating resource, is that sometimes we have programs or initiatives that were implemented in the past, and let's say they can be done in a different way via the use of technology or any other or a different approach, we're certainly going to explore that. But I think the board and myself, we are committed to make sure that we provide a quality education. We have wonderful staff. We're not accessing anybody at this point. Overall, yeah, we're not. I understand. And that's my statement. At this point, we're not committing to access anybody, but we're looking at all the line by line, all the initiatives that we have in place to provide the students with quality education. You were referring to some of the reserves that are, these are restricted reserves that we are talking about. And my other point is that we have, when you look at, I'm not aware of the tax paper that you have, that you're looking at home, but last year the tax levy was 2.34. The budget passed with 3.24, the allowable tax levy, and this year we're proposing at 2.41. The reason that number is greater than 2 is because when you calculate, and there is a very straightforward 8-step calculation that is given to us that we have to follow with all the restrictions that we have, the pilot and the tax growth factor, all the other variables. it comes out to be 2.41. But and in the previous presentation that you find online, if you don't have it, we can print certainly a copy for you. We showed the community, we showed the community all the steps to get to that 2.41. Is pretty straightforward. And we can have it for you, so you'll see why it's 2.41 and not 2. And my last piece that I shared with you in our meetings that we had in the past is that unfortunately we are in a very critical time where we have sort of an increase in the cost and a decrease in the resource that we have. So when you look at the CPI at 6.2%, 6.26, and you look at a tax cap that we are bounded by over 2% with the restriction 2.4, there is clearly a gap of 4%, and that is unfortunate for us. But as I stated to you in the past, I promised you and the community to sharpen the pencil, but we have no pencil left when you think about it. We've been sharpening as much as possible, and we always committed to provide all the best education possible to the students, and you see the product every meeting, without burning the overwhelming the community with tax cap. And I believe since I've been here, we have been doing very well, doing exactly that, not putting pressure on the community and provide quality education. I hope I answer some of your questions. The unfortunate, it does make sense. It does make sense, but what doesn't really make sense is the fact that unfortunately we bounded by certain rules and we have to run a school. So just to give you an example, the 1.5 of the reserves that we have, they've been approved and reviewed by our auditors, and so we are doing what's right in terms of the amount of resource we can put on the side, number one. But just for the community to understand, if a roof will collapse for whatever reason, if we have an emergency, we cannot go in the middle of a year and tap into the community and say, hey, by the way, the sewer blew up in front of the school, I need an additional $40,000. That's the reason why. But let me finish. I've been very. We are not able to go back and say to the community, well, I budgeted 62 million. I need another million because a roof collapsed. So we need the resource that we need for the rainy days. And if we don't use it, we'll give it back to the community. And that's exactly what we're doing every time.
So Dr. Yanni, it's my understanding that, right now, we're going out with a bond issue. We have an AA1 Moody's rating, which will allow us to borrow at a reduced cost compared to school districts with a lesser rating. Moody's looks for the 4% in reserves. They do not consider a school district financially sound if you're not maintaining unassigned reserves. In addition to that, we've made the prudent effort to put forward a capital reserve account for things that Dr. Yanni is describing. However, our capital reserve account is getting low. So when you operate a budget year over year, you certainly, and Moody's will look at this, they certainly don't want you tapping into your reserves in order to make be fiscally operating that year. You shouldn't have to rely on a reserve. You should have enough in your general funds in order to operate the school. Right now, our capital reserve and our technology is only at 4.4 million. That is not much in today's dollars when you're taking care of 3 schools. So I actually think our reserves are at their minimal levels. I wouldn't want to see them any lower, and it wouldn't be prudent for us to then be using unassigned fund balance in order to make up for a shortfall in the budget this year, because it's a one-time fix. And the way Moody's is looking at this, if you're putting out a long-term bond, which we are, how are you going to fix it next year if you needed reserves this year? You need to show that your fiscal year is sound over time. And that's why using your reserves for 1 year is not a good idea.
Any other comments? Then we'll move on with the agenda. We'll now move on to instructional personnel items. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the instructional personnel items as listed in their entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We'll now move on to non-instructional personnel items. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the non-instructional personnel items as listed in their entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We'll now move on to the approval of business items. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the business items resolutions as listed in their entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on now to special services. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the special services resolutions as listed in their entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We will now move on to new business. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the new business resolutions as listed in their entirety. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We now have an opportunity for the public to be heard for non-agenda items. No one has signed in. I would now like to call a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss employment history.
So moved.
So moved. Any second? Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Good night, everybody. Good night. Okay.